The Live Doppler 15 Fury Storm Team is here for you, providing weather coverage you can count on when severe weather strikes.
This thunderstorm has had history of producing ping pong ball size hail, and you're seeing it live right now moving into Bluffton. We want you to come out and bring your weather radio, keep us busy. Why, Rob? Why are we doing this? Why is this such a big deal?
Well, it's all about safety, so I'm actually working at programming Bonnie's weather radio here right now. It's ditches like these that can overflow and cause some big problems for folks traveling on the area roadways.
We are going north on State Road 3. Things are getting worse this morning. Greg was tracking the heavy snowfall, and I can tell you right now, visibilities are reduced to less than a quarter of a mile. We saw lightning just about 20 minutes ago in the southern sky here. Vivid flashes of blue lightning.
All of those Arctic winter blasts that we had that sent the temperatures
How many times did we say Arctic blast?
Our lowest temperatures in years.
Plows are going to have a really hard time getting through that. In fact, it's going to be impossible.
Now, you are going to be amazed. I just called up some of these Doppler estimated rainfall amounts.
We are continuing to keep things updated on WANE.com. We do have a live blog. You can see that right on the homepage.
That's estimating winds of 76 miles per hour. So the core of the heavy winds right now, basically along Highway 33.
Most newer phones and mobile devices are wireless emergency alerts, or WEA, capable.
Tornadoes, thunderstorms, damaging winds, and flooding. The threats the severe weather season bring are here, and so is the Live Doppler 15 Fury Storm Team. All right, guys, here we are, December 20th, the winter solstice tomorrow. Hard to believe we're at this point again. Wow. Seems like spring was just yesterday. It couldn't warm up fast enough, and now here we are getting back into the throes of winter. I want to start with you, Greg, because 25 years predicting winter weather in Fort Wayne, there's got to be some great perspective here comparing last winter to all of those previous years.
Yeah, well, last winter was a winter that we've never seen before. I mean, you talk about the winter, and you have to talk about first the winter snowfall, the record snowfall that we had. People just stopped shoveling, and the streets just piled up, and you look at some of the old pictures, and it looks like the blizzard of '78, where the snow's piled up high, but we really never had an overwhelming amount of snow at once. It just kept piling up. And I think one of the other things that was interesting about the winter was how many times the city of Fort Wayne actually shut down. I don't think I ever remember the city being shut down. And so when I'm coming to work at 3 a.m. in the morning, I'm the only one out on the road with the snowplows, and the city is essentially shut down. Nobody is on the roads, and we have kind of almost a perfect storm with the really warm weather, and then all of a sudden it's almost like a flash freeze, and so we had that coating of ice all over the road.
And looking back at last winter, I mean, it was like we never got a break. We either had the cold, we had the snow, or we had both, and it just piled onto the toughest winter ever, as we called it. Let's remember some of what we lived through with the weather stats from last week. I think you remember these, but let's just let it sink in here. For December, temperature-wise, only 1.4 degrees below average. However, we did have our first below zero temperature last year in December with -4 on the 12th. Then on January, temperatures were 7.9 degrees below average. That was the 6th coldest January on record. It was also the snowiest January and snowiest month ever with 30.3 inches. Remember, 33.5 inches is about how much we should get for the whole year. That was almost January. Our February was the 5th coldest. Temperatures were 10.4 degrees below average. That was the 3rd snowiest February. That had 19.2 inches of snow. So all in all, that makes it the 6th coldest winter, with an overall average temperature of 20.7 degrees, and the 2nd snowiest winter. Remember, our winter records December, January, and February. That's 59.4 inches behind the record 61.1 from 81-82. But even when you take into account the whole 12 months, that would put us at 74.7 inches as still number 2 behind 81 and 82. And thinking back on the snow, yeah, we had plenty. That was one factor. But then the snow was only coming at the times when people wanted to go out and do things.
Yes.
Stuck inside.
Yeah, the time I work. That's when people want to do
the
things.
weekends, absolutely.
Everyone wants to do things on the weekends, but constantly, every single weekend we came in, we were tracking another snowstorm. More accumulating snow, bitterly cold temps. People couldn't get out and do things, and I think it was driving people crazy. And I remember the blizzard conditions we had. And I remember Rod Hissong joined us Sunday night.
And Jesse, these wind chills in the morning are not going to be cold, they're going to be dangerous.
You couldn't hear him in his microphone. He was bundled up. The snow was going sideways. The temps were falling. That's when we were forecasting wind chill values to be below 30 below, which is absolutely incredible. And I can't tell you how many times on the weekend I'd say, well, here we go again. Here in the 7-day forecast, there's another chance for accumulating snow and another chance. In fact, it snowed. We had a trace of snow at least every single weekend in the entire winter months. That's really
incredible.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And the highest snowfall did come January 5th, that snow we were talking about with Rod. 9.5 inches fell that day, which pretty impressive, but of course that was just that one day, and the snow just kept coming and coming, and as Greg was saying, you know, it just never stopped. It kept piling up and piling up, and I do remember another thing that in March, we kept getting the snow. Even into March, we kept going. So we only, you know, for meteorological purposes, December, January, February, but we did a morning live shot out at 5 o'clock.
You were outside for that.
Yeah, 5 o'clock in the morning with Greg, and it was raining. I had my umbrella. 5:30, we did another hit. It started snowing. By the time we got to 7 o'clock, we had several inches of snow on the ground.
And it was stuck to you.
It was stuck to me. The winds were howling. It was ridiculous. And all within 2 hours, we picked up that much snow. And I saw thunder snow for the first time. So it was absolutely amazing.
That's right. You know, I used to live in Maine about 2 years, before I came here. And, I thought, the most challenging winter I'd ever experienced in my life. So snow that buried my car. I had blizzards that actually dropped, over 2 feet of snow, in a single storm. And here I was in Fort Wayne. I felt like I brought the winter with me.
Yeah, I just want to get your perspective on that, because here we hire you the fall of last year. You're coming from Maine, thinking, boy, Fort Wayne winters, this is going to be a breeze. I want to know what you think now.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was going to be a breeze, but I didn't think it was going to be a Bangor winter. And I remember telling Jesse, I said, I love snow, I love winter, bring it on. Well, Mother Nature sure as heck did this past winter, because we had, not only the snow that kept falling and never really melted either, as Greg mentioned, we really never had much of a thaw, but the temperatures. In Maine, the coldest I ever experienced was negative 15. Here it dropped down to negative 16 twice.
And that's saying something coming from me.
I know, right?
What do you think now about this one coming up? Are you ready to handle it?
I think we're ready. I mean, if we can survive last winter, we can make it through just about anything. I remember reporting out in live shots, whether I was in Maine or even here in Fort Wayne, where you would see the little bug on the corner of the screen. It would say 1. That's pretty brutal no matter where you are, but I'll never forget it. And I look forward to this winter.
And you can't forget about all of those Arctic winter blasts that we had that sent the temperatures
How
just
many times did we say Arctic blast?
our lowest temperatures in years here, 19 days below zero. That's number 5 for most days at 0 or below for a winter season, with 7 of those days being double digits below 0.
I remember going out to my car and thinking, is it going to start this morning? And I'm sure a lot of folks had that same mindset.
And looking back at old clips in the 7-day forecast, we had highs forecasted like -2, 0, or 1. And
Or overnight lows, sometimes we had negative 16 on there.
yeah, and the teens below 0. That wasn't uncommon this year or last year. It's crazy.
And the winds.
Yeah, don't forget the winds in that equation.
You add in the winds, that was a whole nother factor. 72 days across December, January, and February, wind gusts 20 miles per hour or greater, okay? One day, January 6th, after that 10-inch snowstorm, we had a wind chill in the -40s. And I remember showing that Futurecast graphic, and it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know we had colors that represented -40s. Thank goodness we did, because we put them to use, And so here we are. We have this past winter behind us. We have a new season to look ahead to. And of course, before the end of the show, we're going to reveal our live Doppler 15 Fury Storm Team winter weather outlook. Well, we've got a lot of good stuff coming up before then. We want everyone to stick around. We'll take a look at social media and weather phobias after the break.
The benefit of the internet. Everybody has access to all kinds of information.
That includes your weather forecast. But which weather sources can you trust?
The biggest challenge we have with social media is the sheer volume of information. How do we know what's good or bad? How do we know who's reliable and who to trust?
You may recall last winter a prediction floating around social media of more than 30 inches of snow falling across the Midwest, with Fort Wayne in the bullseye. Obviously, that was dead wrong.
You have to understand when things are posted to social media, Facebook, people are tweeting forecasts, what have you, that gets magnified. People who are responding to that immediately latch on to these extremes.
And for that reason, many weather enthusiasts who have been deemed as social meteorologists will release extreme forecasts to gain website hits, fans on Facebook, or followers on Twitter. And many times, their methods work, regardless of severely missed predictions. Our biggest snow last season was nearly 3 times less than the 30 inches some on social media were calling for. So how can a forecast be so wrong?
The atmosphere is chaotic. There's a lot of things that can change very rapidly. There's this element of randomness, and the farther away you get from the present, the more random things can change your forecast.
Weather models are not immune to this problem. As data gets collected and processed to make a forecast, one small error in data can lead to a big error in the forecast. Let's talk about why you cannot trust weather model forecasts more than several days out. Here's an example. This is a weather model for December 2nd. We grabbed it 10 days before December 2nd. It was showing a lot of precipitation across northeast Indiana and northwest Ohio. And when you break down the numbers, it was saying we will see 1.13 inches of rain on December 2nd with high temperatures in the middle 50s. So how did it do? Not very well. The actual temperature only got to the lower 30s, and we only saw 1/100th of an inch of precipitation, and that was in the form of frozen precipitation. So, when you come across forecasts on the internet this winter, make sure you know it's coming from a trustworthy source like News Channel 15. After all, like Abraham Lincoln once said, don't believe everything you read on the internet just because there's a picture with a quote next to it.
Fierce, chaotic, exhausting,
bitter.
It's been real terrible.
It's memories like these that people will recall when they hear the term winter, especially after last year. But some new research suggests that as much as 2 to 3% of the U.S. population may have a marked fear or even anxiety directly related to severe weather, including winter storms. Dr. Jill Coleman, assistant professor of geography at Ball State, set out to explore the response people have to extreme weather in a recent study.
We asked people about what is some of their most fearful experiences, and for a lot of parts of the country, it wasn't necessarily about the thunderstorms and lightning. It was remembering a very severe ice storm, which left out their power for a couple of weeks on end.
Heavy snow and freezing rain were among the most common severe weather events that people in the study had experienced. Respondents often reported feelings of anxiety, increased heart pounding, the need to change their schedules, and occasional feelings of helplessness. These are considered natural responses to life continually being interrupted during the winter season, when you can't count on getting to school, work, or stores. Even though many of these symptoms were reported in respondents, the majority would not be identified as having a true phobia.
Those that have a true phobia, it's almost impacting their lives to the point that they feel inability to do anything about it. They don't take any of the proper precautions, and that fear kind of runs their lives.
According to Dr. Petra Zimmerman, assistant professor of geography at Ball State, the majority of the psychological responses in this study aren't directly related to the weather as they are the impacts.
They're not afraid of winter. What they're afraid of is driving on ice. They're afraid of opening up really big utility bills.
Another natural response people have to extreme weather, especially winter storms, is food stockpiling.
Suddenly everybody needs to get milk, bread, and eggs, meaning there must be some kind of a French toast syndrome going on.
They said snow! I gotta get the bread and milk! Oh my God!
People tend to go after perishable items for what could be a prolonged event stuck indoors, possibly without power. Are bread and milk really the big sellers during a winter storm?
They really are. Everybody goes for those basic things that they know they're going to need, but then, they also stock up on everything they can.
Some suggest that stockpiling on perishables has become a tradition, something their family may have done long ago. Others say it's about control and not breaking routine. For those that have a true severe weather phobia, Dr. Coleman and experts recommend seeking professional or self-help treatment. For those who just have winter weather anxieties, the best way to cope is to make sure you're prepared and informed.
I think having a sense of what weather conditions and what to do when there's severe weather is a good thing. We want people to have a healthy amount of fear, but there's that tipping point. You don't want to have people have so much fear that they have an inability really to do anything about it.
Some of the data we take a look at in the live Doppler 15 Fury Weather Center comes from here in Wilmington, Ohio, the National Weather Service office. They send up weather balloons that go as high as 19 miles up above where we stand.
It kind of takes a snapshot of the atmosphere at that time, and then all that data is input into the various global computer models that are run that generate forecast out through the next several days.
To retrieve this critical weather data, there are 3 pieces of equipment involved. First, the radiosonde measures temperature, relative humidity, pressure, and GPS position, which allows us to determine winds at the different levels in the atmosphere. Next, a parachute is attached so that it gently falls back to the Earth at the end of the flight. And then, of course, there's the weather balloon, something you wouldn't find at a birthday party. This biodegradable balloon is inflated with helium until it's about 5 feet in diameter.
Once it starts going up through the atmosphere and the pressure decreases, it'll start expanding. Yeah, so about 20 to 25 feet by the time it bursts. Wow. So it's a very expandable material.
Wow. Twice a day, in the morning and the evening, the balloon is launched. From top to bottom, it stretches about 90 feet. Being so large, a little help may be needed, especially on those windy days.
Yeah, there is one method where you can do a 2-person launch where one person will run out with the balloon and the other person runs with the radiosonde.
The radiosonde rises at a rate of about 16 feet per second, sending back data that can be tracked in real time at the National Weather Service office. After about an hour and 45 minutes, the balloon reaches a height of nearly 100,000 feet before bursting. So what happens to the radiosondes? Well, if you find one, they can be returned for reuse with the attached envelope and prepaid postage on the unit. But of the thousands of weather balloons launched every year by the National Weather Service, only around 20% are found or returned. When there's a threat for severe weather, an extra balloon launch may be needed.
The wind shear and instability in the atmosphere is very important, and a lot of times that can change substantially from the morning. So if we can take an observation of the wind shear and instability in the upper parts of the atmosphere in the early afternoon, it can give us a better idea of how strong or severe the storms might be.
Critical weather information, all from releasing a balloon.
On November 17, 2013, the largest tornado outbreak of the year struck Illinois and Indiana, and Kokomo was hit exceptionally hard. Lots of people lost their homes, including Phyllis Rollins. We're currently standing in what used to be her basement, and if you look around here, you can see the devastation is still very apparent from that tornado. You may remember the story we did with her titled "The House That Love Built." Her home was constructed by her husband, who passed away from cancer just a year before the tornado. We met up with her recently to see how things have changed for her since the tornado, and she wants to tell you how important it is to take warnings very seriously.
The fear of death has never been so real to me in my life. You just wanted to wake up from this really bad nightmare and you couldn't.
Melody Vandergriff recalls the Sunday in November she and her friends went to Phyllis Rollins' house after church. She says she and her friends knew severe storms were in the forecast, but like a lot of people, she had this first reaction.
It'll pass, it's just a storm. And that's another thing that each of us had said that day was, it's just a storm, it'll pass.
Even Phyllis felt the same way.
I always thought, it's not going to happen to me. Everybody thinks that. But who are we to think that we're any better than someone else?
The storm that went through Kokomo and destroyed Phyllis's home produced 2 EF2 tornadoes with winds estimated to be as high as 130 miles per hour. Thankfully, no one was killed in the tornadoes, but Melody and her friend Allison were injured. Allison suffered a fractured back, and Melody says by the grace of God, she survived an unimaginable situation.
Amazing. Yeah, I call it blessed.
This Chrysler 300 was tossed like a toy into the basement where Melody and her friends sought shelter. The back tire and the car's weight pinned Melody by her head. She was unable to move.
The pressure isn't even describable. I just remember not being able to move my head at all. It was the worst pain I've ever felt in my life.
When severe storms roll through your neighborhood, they leave very little time to take action. The National Weather Service in Indianapolis says they issued the tornado warning for Kokomo at 3:17 p.m., and the tornado started devastating the community just 13 minutes later. That's why, when the risk for severe weather is mentioned, there's a watch or a warning is issued for your area or surrounding areas. It is very important to stay tuned to the live Doppler 15 Fury storm team for the most accurate information, and always have a severe weather safety plan in place. Phyllis and Melody can tell you firsthand just how important and life-saving it can be.
I would have a plan so that your younger children, maybe if you have younger children at home, they would know what that plan was, and I would practice it like they do in the schools, and I would have a place to go to.
Take it seriously because you don't know, what could happen. The weather is crazy, it's unpredictable sometimes.
Coverage you can count on continues with Chief Meteorologist Nicholas Ferreri's live Doppler 15 Fury forecast.
It's been quite a wonderful Wednesday out there. After we got the fog out of here in the morning, the sunshine came out. We saw temperatures go back into the 80s, and there's been no rain out there. Our live Doppler 15 Fury storm tracker remains clear of it now. It's going to stay that way tonight. Yes, we do have some clouds outside, but they're just simply fair weather clouds that we can see from our Fort Wayne Airport camera. I'm not worried about any rain being produced from these, just because when you look at them, they're not showing signs of vertical growth. They're not getting taller. They're not looking more and more ominous to the point where they'd grow so big that they'd be cumulonimbus clouds, the clouds that produce rain. So don't worry about the umbrella tonight. As you go out for a walk or ride your bike, you're not going to need it. 84 in Kendallville now, 83 in Huntington and Van Wert, 82 in Bluffton, and 82 in Hartford City. The winds from the southwest at 8 miles per hour. That, of course, a warm flow of air, and with our sunshine today, we easily saw those temperatures bounce into the 80s. Humidity, not bad this afternoon. The dew point, that measure of moisture in the air, sits at 60 degrees right now, and at that level, we're just at comfortable on our muggy meter. But tomorrow, we see that go up a notch. We'll be in the humid category, and by the end of the work week, we may even be higher. And the reason why I believe that is because I'm paying attention to the dew points that are out to the southwest. Once we get into the upper 60s to around 70, that's when we get to that tropical category, and that's when you really feel that intense humidity as you step outside. And we're looking at the southwest because that's where air is going to be coming from in the days ahead. That area of high pressure moving off to the east, air goes clockwise around high pressure, so when we're on the backside of it, it all comes in from the southwest. That means more warm and humid flow over the next couple of days. With high pressure, you don't get the air rising, so you don't see much in terms of cloud cover, and we haven't seen much today. There's been plenty of room for the sun to shine on down in between the clouds, and now as we continue through the evening, as temperatures cool, as we get past sunset, the clouds are going to decrease again. They've been fueled by the instability of the day, and much like last night, there won't be much of a wind either. We're going to have fog around as we get our Thursday started, and some patches of dense fog will be possible. 59 is where we'll start off our Thursday, and we'll warm up from there rapidly with more sunshine expected. The fog dissipates by the time we get to around 9 in the morning. We warm on up. The air can hold more moisture. The air also starts to get in motion, and that helps the fog dissipate too. By the afternoon, a few more clouds move in, just like today. Those will be fair weather clouds. No worries about rain there. And then we will get into a Thursday night that is equally calm, but we'll be tracking some rain and storms for Friday. In our forecast for tomorrow, 64 at 8 in the morning, 10 o'clock 71, 79 by noon. We're rising to highs in the upper 80s by late afternoon. 87 tomorrow's high. 88 on Friday with rain and storms tracking in later in the day. That rain lasts into Saturday morning, but then exits. It's a cold front that moves through, and you can see the cooler air that gets put in place. 73 only our high on Saturday. Sunday, mostly sunny, 75 degrees. We'll stay in the 70s to start off next week. Monday, 76. Tuesday, 79 as the weather system moves in. That'll bring us rain and storms late in the day. Better chances at rain during the day on Wednesday when our high reaches 80.
Not a bad weekend ahead.
No, going to be great. Great way to get our, first full weekend of September here.
All right. Thank you, Nicholas.
Still
Coverage you can count on continues with meteorologist Jesse Hawila's live Doppler 15 Fury forecast.
It wasn't a bad start to one of the final weekends before school starts, and here's some cool video using our GoPro cameras here at Wayne of people skateboarding in Lawton Park. These kids were having a good time, but if you can check out the clouds, this was before the storms actually moved in, and check out what some of those storms that actually did develop produced. We had some pea-sized hail reported in parts of Allen County. A thunderstorm blew up, and most locations actually stayed dry all day long, so you're probably confused on what I'm even talking about. But yeah, we actually did have a few isolated storms pop up this afternoon. Most of them have fizzled out. We'll show you what's left over here in just a moment. The Parkview Field camera shows the clouds left over in downtown Fort Wayne. We're going to have a decent amount of cloud cover for the next several hours, but we will eventually start chipping away at that overnight tonight. 73 degrees the current temperature in Fort Wayne. We were actually 10 degrees warmer not too long ago, but that rain-cooled air has put us down into the lower 70s. Relative humidity at 66%. That's going to become an important part of the forecast for tomorrow morning because we will be talking about fog. You can see most locations still pretty warm. 80 in Angola, 82 LaGrange. There's the rain-cooled air from Fort Wayne down to Bluffton, 73 degrees there. And it's 77 right now in Van Wert. Most areas dry on Live Doppler 15 Fury Storm Tracker. Very small little showers still holding on just west of Interstate 69 in DeKalb County from Ashley down to Waterloo and Auburn. These are fizzling out as they move to the south. Not expected to have much of an impact. And you can see where we had those pop-up storms earlier today on the wider view of satellite radar. There's the pop-up showers and storms that have since fizzled out. Look off to the west to see what we're expecting, and that's clearer skies for tomorrow and temperatures that are going to be warm. It's 85 in Chicago right now. We're expecting that warmer air, and we are also expecting to stay dry over the next couple of days. Temperatures tonight getting into the upper 50s, some of us right around 60 degrees, 60 in Auburn by tomorrow morning, 60 in Angola. Again, we're going to chip away at some of the cloud cover for the rest of this evening. Mostly cloudy skies this afternoon will become partly cloudy overnight. And again, tomorrow morning, the main focus of the forecast will be patchy fog. Other than that, we're expecting a decent amount of sunshine, a few clouds here and there, patchy fog tomorrow morning for any early birds getting out, say before 8 o'clock in the morning. That will impact you. 59 by 7, 78 for noon, 83 degrees by 5 o'clock. That's typical for this time of the year, and luckily the humidity, not too bad, right around comfortable levels. It will be a touch on the sticky side, not quite humid, not quite anything that's going to be terribly noticeable. Futurecast stays pretty quiet Sunday night into Monday as well. A few passing clouds, that's all we can expect for the rest of this weekend and to start your work week and soon to be school week. Sorry kids. Monday's high, 83 degrees. Tuesday, Wednesday, a few scattered showers and storms possible. These are not all-day rains. Don't cancel your plans here, but notice the temperatures here. Lots of good chance to go out and finally enjoy summer-like weather. We had such a chilly July. That's a good way to say it. I mean, it was the second coldest on record, and now we get rewarded.
Yeah.
Maybe a little too late for some, but
yeah,
low to mid-80s all week long.
Good golfing weather. I was out this morning, but I did not have to yell for because my shots did not go long enough.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, they certainly weren't good.
No, they weren't. Okay, thanks, Jesse.